Councillor Williamson, thank you.
Yeah, look, I first want to start by saying it'll be a merry day when 78 goes out the door. I think that's just so good. It would have been great to have replaced it with something that had a little bit more common sense to it and had some numbers that you could justify. 78's just wrong in all regards. I'm surprised at the number of people I've heard around this table that were here when it was done, saying it's just dreadful because it's got all this flood-prone stuff. Well, why didn't you do something about it then? Why did you not put, you tried to, well, you didn't succeed. It's a bit rich to be coming back later on and saying it's got all this flood-prone and we need to get it done now, but you didn't do anything about it when you actually put it in place. Okay, so here's what I want to go through some numbers with you. First of all, you need to know that property prices have taken an unbelievable tumble in both Auckland and Wellington. Liam Dan's article in the Herald recently said that in real terms, Auckland property prices have dropped 31%, and in Wellington they have dropped 38% after inflation. Now you've got to know what that means for New Zealanders, because this is a country, I've worked and lived in a lot of countries around the world, and the property, your own dwelling, is not the major value of your investments or your wealth. Some young Germans I work with at Lufthansa never expected to even own a property. But here, owning a property, it is your most valuable resource. And to do things that can drive the value of that down is lunacy when you don't have to. I'm fine if that's what you have to do. Now, all the work that went into the unitary plan came up with 30,000 times 30. Multiply those two together, you get 900,000. That seemed like a good start. We now somehow believe that doesn't work, even though all the work that went into it. So we need some more. Okay, I'm signing up for more. I think we can do a lot more intensification around the transport hubs and corridors. I think it's crazy to spend $6 billion on a train set and then not provide some customers for it. It's just crazy. And so I'm a big fan of that, and the Eastern Busway and the Pakuranga Highway, where it's got 3 lanes either way and you can build along it. I'm a big fan of building around the town centres, because that's where we should be trying to concentrate big numbers of people. And do mine, do Pakuranga, do Botany, come on in. I'm a big fan of getting the floodplains out and any of the coastal erosions or any of the stuff that's likely to cause massive costs and damage, and get them out. But what I cannot come to grips with is, how the hell do you come up with a figure of 2 million? Because it's an insane number for this reason. Whatever level you set it at, you actually drive the intensification way deeper into suburbia. If you make it 1.5, you get a lot less driving down to the residential level than you do if you make it another number. If you make it 2 million, it's not needed. I heard it today. It's a number that'll never be used. It's an artificial number. It's every dwelling, every property in Auckland, 3 times 3 stories. Well, what an insane number to use as your target figure. How about we work out what we believe the populations were? We presented with a fantastic graph of what the medium, the high, and the very high population forecasts were. Take the number of around 3 per dwelling, because I've got that number from the officials' data of how many dwellings divided by the number of people in the city. It's around about 3. It's just under 3, 2.9, whatever. And then say multiply that out. That's the number of dwellings we're going to need. Now let's put a cap above that to have some flexibility. The developers don't only have to build there because it's the only place, and the developers don't have to build that because there's different designs. But what the 2 million, which is not justified by anybody, does, is, I think I'd take Ken Turner's example. We're going to have a football game and we're going to give them a 3,000 mile square plane to play on. Why do that? Why not say you can play your game and you need a lot of space, you need to have goalposts and everything else. We're going to have you a very big park to play in. But it'll still allow for you to do everything you need, but it will not make the ridiculous outcomes. Now, I'll tell you what the most ridiculous outcome is. If you leave it where it is, you will have developers come into one street, put one ghastly piece of rubbish in situ, devalue a whole lot of people's house property prices, and then walk away. They're doing it now. They're doing it now. And that's why I'm saying get rid of 78. So don't get me wrong, I'm not surviving 78. I want it gone. I think it's a piece of junk. But what I do think is we could actually have a more realistic replacement which did not drive the intensification into suburbia as hard as it does, but still picked up on all of the benefits of transport corridors, rail corridors, city centres and so on, got a whole lot of people using public transport where they can, which is brilliant, got a whole lot of high-rise and so on, but I'm going to give you the worst example out of what the alternative has been put to us, our. We've got a small back suburban street, Granger, that runs into Lytton, and then it runs into sort of down to a little wee shopping centre, Meadowlands. And AT, in their infinite wisdom, gave that up as the number 26 of the transport corridors at which you could put high-rise and intensification. You come with me. You come with me any day you look and have a look at the street. It's not wide enough for the 2 cars to park. It's not wide enough to have any public transport corridor on it, but it's in this replacement plan to be a major corridor to be used as intensification. So don't get me wrong, big fan of intensification where it makes sense. Big fan of actually adding to the unitary plans 900,000. By the way, that makes a bit of a mockery of planning if you did all that time to come up with a unitary plan and less than 10 years later we're now replacing it again. That means this one won't even last that long. And all I can say to is that Chris Bishop is a very brave politician, because I remember Labour leaders and Green Party leaders absolutely stopping at the very edge of saying we want property values to go down. Remember it, they were on TV during election campaign. Well, do you want property prices in Auckland to go down? Well, I just want property prices to be more affordable. Many say I just want incomes to go up faster than I want prices, which I'm fine with. I think it's a great idea. You get more affordability over time. But today's a good day that we're getting rid of the dreadful piece of junk called 78. But I'm sorry, we've done nothing to push back about what would be a realistic, proper regime that would work for everybody and would not cause the harm and the damage that it needs to cause.
Thank you, Councillor. Great. Mayor Brown.
Okay, that was probably the best thing I've heard you for a long time. Good. I agree with most of that. The 2 problems we're solving are the 3x3 everywhere, which all those people in various suburbs worrying about a 15-storey building coming in should be worried about the ugly 3x3 jammed up next door to you, because that's happening now. And there's all those brave people who are going to stand against the government sat here and got MDRS without doing a damn thing in the first place. So it's a bit rich to tell me about that. That was dumb. The 3x3 was dumb, and it's what produced the 2 million number, and which is also dumb. We all understand it as well. The same people that did that also approved the City Rail Link. The City Rail Link, we've just spent $6 billion on that. There's no point in having $6 billion for the things with nobody on the damn thing. And so it's all over the world. You can fly over cities and see where the underground railways are, because the 16-storey buildings are around the railway stations, and it'll be no different here. And the economics are such that that's where people will start building those. They're not going to suddenly stoke them way out in the buoy. The other part that we're voting out is the inability to downsize due to our floods. That in itself is enough reason to get rid of MDRS, but the 3x3 metre 3-storey houses everywhere from Pukekohe to Wilsford was plainly idiotic and is being used to produce some hideous bloody results already, with people jammed in like fairies. In terms of some of the statements I've heard about the economics and price of living, it just shows our lack of, we should need to have an economics summit next time so people understand. I live in multi-storey buildings. My last one, I was up on level 16 of a 20-storey building. In that 20-storey building, the prices ranged from 12 million down to 450,000, because the and was mixed in terms of every possible way. We had mixed usage and we had mixed economies. Very rich to people battling along, and we all got on well. It's good like that. Same with the street I'm in now. Within 200 metres of me, they go from 3 million down to 450,000. We all get on. And so don't be too scared of mixed use. Special character is slightly different from historic. Historic's saved. Special character is worth saving where it can be. And what we have by doing this now, you've got a long period of which to put in submissions to point out the areas that we've got wrong. Clearly, the Howick example where someone's come up with in a rush with a one-lane street, which you'll never have a bus down, is a mistake. And that if you have enough time, you can find all those. People put in submissions about those. If we'd used up 3 months just to dither around, we wouldn't have enough time for that. Auckland I recently opened 2 buildings for Auckland out in Avondale, sited there, 1.6 and 1.9, right next door to each other. They're there because everything's there. Transport, hubs, shops, groceries inside the buildings. Those people are able to share a swimming pool, which none of them would have been able to afford on their own. The ones you can buy vary between 500,000 and 900,000, very good too. And the next building is all owned to built to rent. So we're the developer, and there's nothing wrong with the developer making money. We're not a commerce country. That's why people do it. Don't feel bad about that. And in terms of the risks that they're taking, you've got to accept the risks. A lot of them are failing. There's a lot of crashes in the construction sector, so these are not greedy, nasty people. They're part of our society, and we shouldn't pick on them just because of what they're doing. You've got a long time to put in your submissions. This does everything we really wanted. We approached the government to actually make them listen that they'd made a mistake with the MDRS, and they are listening. And we've approached the government because we've got $6 billion worth of railway, and we want to have some people living around it, and so they are listening. And they got the $2 million thing wrong, and 2 million people thing wrong, and we've now got 9 months, quite a lot of that 18 months there to make a discussion about that. That's the only thing people are moaning about, because that 2 million is driving us out into places which was never the expectation for that sort of level of intensity. The market might go there anyhow. So you've got 18 months to happen, and if you know anyone dumb enough who's going to build a 15-storey in the middle of Howick, then that person's going to go broke before he's got up to level 7. You have to have sales to do this stuff. This is very sensible. It's the right way to go about it. Nodding at people who are just saying we're not going to do anything, we're going to fend it off and it's going to go away. It's just being dumb, really. I think we've done a good thing here, and I've got plenty of time to talk to the government, who are in a bit of trouble there, and say, look, just pull it back. All the areas which we've intensified down the main roads and down the bus things are eminently sensible. I haven't anyone talking about that. What have we got at Mount Eden? We've got this big open space there. You come merge from there's nothing there. We want shops there, we want parking there, we want buses there, we want houses there, we want people there. And this is how you get it. And so I'm very confident that this will get through, and I'm very pleased for those people who support it, because it's the right thing to do for the city. And we will have further conversations about the government, about the 2 million thing. They will start to realise they've got that a bit wrong, but they were forced into that because you all sat there quietly and accepted MDRS without understanding what you'd accepted. So don't give me any lessons about not being with tough with the government. You should listen in the past. I've inherited your decisions. Build that blooming $6 billion thing and accept all those people here, 2 million houses. You accepted it.
Councillor Ferry.
Kia ora, thank you. Just quickly on the PC78 vote, when I looked that up, I didn't actually see any votes against. I saw a whole bunch of abstentions, so I'm not sure if that counts as pushing back on the MDRS if you abstained, just in passing. The choice today is clear, and we've had a number of people who've said that, and the choice is what it's been for weeks, which is between Plan Change 78 and Plan Change 120. Now it has a name. I'm very grateful for the number, staff. It's been very frustrating to try and refer to something that didn't have a name. And we've had 2 successive governments, red and blue in tinge, who have passed laws to get Auckland Council to shift away from the unitary plan. The unitary plan was never on the table today. We knew this weeks ago. In fact, we knew this in 2021, and despite many people using it today and in the community over the last few weeks as their point of comparison, the unitary plan was never on the table today. What we do have is a choice between Plan Change 78 and Plan Change 120. There's been a lot of discussions about the shortcomings of Plan Change 78, and what I want to do is be a little bit more positive about Plan Change 120. And I want to raise a point that was made by the advisory panels when they spoke to us on the 11th of September. They presented their end-of-term reports. And there was a very powerful statement made by the co-chair from the Rainbow Communities Advisory Panel, who said, "Trust is built by action." Trust is built by action. Now, since the 27th of January 2023, a lot of people in my community have lost a lot of trust in Auckland Council and have lost a lot of trust in us as decision makers because we have not taken action, or not enough action, on flood risks. Plan Change 120 enables us to take action, not necessarily enough, but certainly a lot better than Plan Change 78, and rebuild that trust. We have also been asked repeatedly by the community to take action on climate. Plan Change 120, as I asked about before, is clearly better on climate. Flooding, as I've mentioned, the E36 rules, the downzoning, the shifting of permeability levels to the core standards, which strengthens that, but also more broadly on emissions, which have a big impact on flooding, but also other climate shocks like extreme weather. It's also better from a climate perspective on the compact city and on transport, particularly the focus on building around train stations. And you can see that really clearly in the maps that Gary Blick, our economist, provided, where we had those green blobs, more housing around the Western Line and the Southern Line, around the Northern Busway and the Eastern Busway as well. So PC 120 is better than PC 78, the other option, on climate. It's also better on housing affordability, and Councillor Henderson addressed that at length, but I would just note also that we have had some reference here to people's property rights. You have to own property to have property rights. A lot of people in the city can't own property, don't own property, and are moving away as well. It also is better on cost of living, partly because of the housing affordability, but also because having more homes next to transport routes where people can use public transport, don't have to own a car to participate, means that the cost of transport will significantly reduce for them, which again has a really good benefit for cost of living. It also reduces the cost of infrastructure. We had mentioned before of our underlying debt problem. I think we could contend whether we have a debt problem given we're well under our debt ceiling. However, sprawl is more expensive for our infrastructure costs. And our infrastructure is funded by debt. So join up the lines. It also, Plan Change 120, makes the most of the infrastructure we already have. And we've had repeated presentations and maps shown to us about how the areas that have existing infrastructure capacity are the areas where we're lining up with for more housing under Plan Change 120. The CRL is one example, but it's only one, and there's a whole heap of other infrastructure that we have that lines up. Finally, PC 120 is actually better on the issue of staging. And I know this has been raised, and we had advice from Megan that staging is not something you can really do with a plan change of this nature anyway. You kind of got to do it all as kit and caboodle. But actually, the overlays help us with staging. That's the purpose of them, is they apply restrictions based on existing infrastructure problems in areas, and you can see those right through, for example, parts of Sandringham, where there are overlays that effectively help us to stage things. And we have the future development strategy, which is outside the scope of this, but that allows us to stage things in terms of the release of more land on the edges, where again, the infrastructure is more expensive, which would drive more council debt and put up rates as well, because we would have to maintain it. So the choice is clear. Trust is built by action. I will be supporting putting through Plan Change 120 to the next steps. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Darby.
Thanks, Chair. Well, look, I think I've been around the block a few times on these planning resets, and from the Auckland Plan review, the reset there, the Auckland Unitary Plan, I remember some referring to the Auckland Unitary Plan as being civil war. Chair, you'll remember some of those comments, and the violins were playing and the laments were endless. It was actually a really good plan at the time. It was a really good plan. And then there was PC 78, and there were some issues with that as well. But there were many aspects of that that were very good. And now we've got this one served to us. The latter two, you've got a choice between a couple of dog breeds. You know, which one's going to bite you the hardest and the longest, which one's going to affect you or give you the rabies. But look, there's good things in this one, as Councillor Ferry has just outlined. Don't need to go over that summary of the benefits or disbenefits. But I think we sort of have forgotten that PC 78, we did have better control over hazards. We did achieve that. You know, that was a nudge on from the Auckland Unitary Plan. There are issues, in my eyes, with being served up from Wellington on our planning resets. The Auckland Unitary Plan, yes, it was required by statute, but we had the freedom to do it. The latter, PC 78 and 120, we have not had the freedom to adequately do it with the people of Auckland. But we are required to do it. Now, I'm not in the camp of defying a government and having a minister racking him up, or her, whoever it might be, to the point where they say, well, look, you haven't played ball, I'm moving into town and I'll do it for you. Because there's a lot at stake here, and I think it's just a matter of time and if a minister would make that move. So look, the laments on PC 78, I don't think are due. We've just moved on. It's not that time. We're here now. I have concerns about this plan, but I think, you know, I've always operated by the 80-20 rule. You get it 80% right at this stage, and you get out of the blocks, put it over the line, get it out for consultation, and if you can polish it up another 10% and get it to 90%, you've actually got a good plan. The last 10% to achieve best practice in the world, forget it. You will never, ever polish it up to 100%. Forget it. So quoting all the best practice, and yes, our staff have advised us that this is best practice, this is best practice. Yes, they're right to advise us, but the blunt reality is you never get it up to that mark. Now, am I underselling? Am I not optimistic enough? Am I not ambitious enough? I don't think so. I'm just being a damn realist here. And that's how I've been in my time, my 12 years here at Auckland Council. Go back to the 80-20 rule. I reckon we're maybe 80% on this PC 120. Mayor, Chair, I'm thanking you for incorporating the H and the I. One of the things that I have been pretty consistent on is the lack of attention to the quality of outcomes as opposed to the quantity. And I won't go over that again. I think there's a bigger conversation to be had on achieving a quality of what results out of these planning instruments, this PC 120. So the H and the I thank you for incorporating. I do have a concern, though, about this move to a more polycentric vertical city form. I don't think we fully understand that, and that does need a lot more interrogation through the work around the H and the I, or the work that results from the H and the I. Because that polycentric vertical nature is very new to us, and I don't think we understand that. And I hand it to you, Chair, in your role going forward to explore that a lot more, because we're going to have to be very cautious about, how that is enabled. And I'm particularly interested in seeing maybe not so much stricter design standards, but look, some minimum design standards that alleviate the risk of some pretty ordinary vertical construction, as we've already seen in the 1990s Auckland and the early 2000s Auckland. I'll leave that with you. The one part I'm not going to support here today, because I think it is going backwards, is the J. And Councillor Bartley, I totally acknowledge your representation of your communities on this particular issue, but reinvestigating car parking minimums, 1950s time warp. Get on, move past. It adds up to $100,000 per dwelling unit. So move on, but I totally respect you raising it. But I'm going to make the point today of not supporting the J. It's a going backwards. All the research data is actually already on the desk. I'll leave it there, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Bartley.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to acknowledge you and your Deputy, Councillor Dalton, and the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor for all your work, and the CEO and the staff on this major issue, this major historic debate that we're facing today. I will support this. Yeah, I support it. And I support it because of it being a way for us to deal with downzoning in the areas hit worse by the floods. Along with fellow councillors, I too was on the ground trying to help people who had been flooded in their homes. I also support it because it will unlock areas for more housing for younger generations and for other sectors of our society that have been locked out of buying a home. I've benefited from intensification because I was able to buy a home last year because of redevelopment. Where one house stood, there are now 6 townhouses. So I'm one of those townhouses. If we didn't have intensification, there's no way in hell I'd be able to buy a home. So I don't want to pull the ladder up to people coming after me for their opportunity to buy a home as well in the city that they love. And you're quite right, a lot of people are leaving because they don't see a future for themselves in buying a home here. I also support more intensification around the transport, around town centres, because our town centres need it. They need that immediate audience or that immediate access of people who can buy from their cafes and buy from their little shops so they don't go out of business, because that is a big worry. We're seeing so many closed up shops and so many small town centres just struggling. So if we can have more intensification there, there's more people that can buy from them and support them. And I also appreciate you incorporating my concerns around parking. I think, yes, the intention was good, but in reality, the behaviour change hasn't happened. And so there's lots of reasons why people need their cars. If we're going to intensify on transport corridors, we do need to think about how we address parking, because the reason you can't get a special vehicle lane on a main corridor is because all the cars are parked there. So you really do need developers to incorporate parking, not just for one tenant, but for flatmates, for people who are tradespeople, for families with kids, for what else? Yep, disabled. There's lots of reasons. So I appreciate that being incorporated in here. And yeah, I hope this brings about more opportunity for other people to be able to buy who are not sitting in this room. Thank you.
Kia ora, Councillor. Thank you very much. Are there any other speakers before I close up? I just want to make sure. There are no more, so I'm making the closing statement. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I think that has been a good debate. I think we've covered all the issues. I will say that this is the choice between the two, and I think the replacement is far better because of the areas that we talked about. When we talk about responsibilities and the we's and the, you didn't, it's all of us. We're all responsible. And you can look back at those votes on Plan Change 78 and see who abstained on our qualifying matters, which include flooding and hazards and coastal. And you'll see people that didn't take the responsibility then. So it is a conversation around infrastructure. I hear a lot of time around here, why don't we have infrastructure? Well, actually, some of us voted for every budget to increase the revenues to fund that infrastructure. that every time, every budget I've been here, and many people have not voted for any or voted for very few. And so some of us have to take that vote to get a majority, and some people will know. And I assume today this could be unanimous, so I won't assume, but there will be people who vote knowing that their community will be far better off with the new plan change than they are under plan change 78, because that is the vote we're here to do. And some of us will make that decision and help the communities in your area, and you may vote against, knowing that we will have made that decision to help your communities. And I think that's the important thing here. I don't know who Theophilus, Theophilus or something, but I will talk about another Theo, and that's my son, who's only 3. And, I never thought I'd have the privilege of having a child, and I do now. And I think about these decisions, well, before he was alive, thinking about all future residents of Auckland, but I think about what decisions we make today. It's one little step. There'll be another decision, I'm sure, with the RMA and next council, but I think these decisions enable that choice, enable a future, enable something different for the young people that are thinking, do I live in Auckland or do I live somewhere else, next to jobs, next to education, next to transport? And I hope today, by pushing this through and moving it forward to the community so they can have a say, that people like my son, people like the next generation will have more opportunities to live more affordably, not just purchase, but rent. There'll be kāinga order housing in the right places. We need to make sure we provide opportunities near infrastructure, because the city has for decades not dealt with the issues that we should be dealing with for the future. And I think we are starting to do that the last couple, 5, 6, 7 years, getting on top of our budgets, but also quadrupling the infrastructure in transport and water, but we'll need to do more. But just want to thank everyone, and I want to thank the community. This is hard. Some people will be very excited about the decision. Other people will find this decision really hard. Change is really hard, but we have to make a decision, and I think moving forward with the replacement is the better one. Kia ora. Thank you.
Chair, could we just have outlined what our options are here? Are you going to take it as a whole?
I will take...
Some of us would like to support A, but may not necessarily want to support other parts. Could you just outline the process?
Yeah, so largely we can't do... we can't withdraw without supporting something else, so I'll be taking it as a whole. Thank you.
No, that's not true.
We've had a division. We're taking it as a whole. Thank you.
Well,
sorry, division has been called.
A division has been called. Thank you.
If members would like to indicate their for or against, and if you want to be against a clause, we can note it when you vote.
Sorry, did I hear correctly? So we can vote, but we can note those clauses that we're opposed to. Thank you.
Yeah, but just for safety, if a majority of us vote for withdrawing and a majority also vote for not replacing something, that doesn't exist. So once again, just make sure there's enough of us making that responsible two-pronged decision. Thank you.
well,
Thank you. Councillor Hills.
Yes.
Hokura member Ashby.
yes.
Councillor Baker.
Oh, yes.
Councillor Bartley.
Yes.
Mayor Brown. Deputy Chair Dalton.
Yes.
Councillor Darby.
For, if I can record against J, please.
Councillor Ferry.
For.
Councillor Filipina.
All right.
Councillor Fletcher.
No, but record a support for A.
Councillor Fuli.
For.
Hokura member Henare. Councillor Henderson.
Yes, but record opposition for L.
Councillor Lee. Councillor Leone.
For.
Councillor Newman.
For.
Councillor Sayers.
For.
Deputy Mayor Simpson. Councillor Stewart.
For.
Councillor Turner.
against, but record my support of A, please.
Councillor Walker,
Same as Turner.
Councillor Watson,
No and support for A.
Councillor Williamson.
Yes.
Thank you, that's carried.
And that is carried, we'll figure out
18 to 5.
18 votes to 5. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Right, I think that's all we have to do. Thank you very much, everyone. I'll just close with a karakia. Unuhia, unuhia, unuhia. Kura tapanui, ki wātea, ki mama, tinako, te tinana, me te wairoa I tara takutu, koia rā I rongo, whakairea ake ki runga kia tina, haumie huie tai ki e. Thank you very much and see you tomorrow morning. Thank you.
Well done, Chair and staff.